This is the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. I'm Kevin Scholla.
Angry atheists armed with an attorney, and they want to tell us, they want to tell patriots, they want to tell traditional Americans that no longer can you acknowledge that Jesus is the reason for the season.
Well, the attacks on Christmas aren't working. Americans are fighting back, and Sarah Palin is leading the charge. Her new book, Good Tidings and Great Joy, addresses the attacks on Christmas, and it includes some great Palin Christmas memories and stories. The Big Book Tour for Good Tidings and Great Joy is underway and off to a terrific start. We'll take a look inside the tour. November is National Adoption Awareness Month. Mary Beth Chapman is here to talk all about it. Sarah Palin thanks our veterans. The governor comments on the Pope, and Palin calls out Chris Christie on his gun stance. A brand new Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson's on the way, and just ahead our latest edition of Steel Resolve with Sarah Steelman. My apologies on my sound this week, a little bit of a throat thing going on. Luckily for me, I was not able to get on the Obamacare website. I'm not enrolled, but I'm hoping by next week, because I'm not on Obamacare, I'll be sounding normal again. Right now, we're joined by Mary Beth Chapman. She's the wife of recording artist Stephen Curtis Chapman, mom of 6, and right now she's promoting adoption all across the country. Mary Beth Chapman, welcome to the Palin Update on SarahNet Radio. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and you are doing so much to promote adoption. And before we get into specifics, tell us why adoption is so important to you on a personal level.
Well, on a personal level, my husband and I traveled to China in 2000 and adopted the first of 3 of our daughters. Johanna came home in 2000, and then subsequently Stevie Joy came home in 2003, and our youngest daughter, Maria, came home in 2004. And that just radically captured our hearts, and we wanted to do what we could to promote adoption, not only internationally, but here in America as well, for the children of the world who are orphans.
And, you know, sometimes people adopt because they can't naturally have children, or they don't choose to, but you had your own kids already and then went out and felt this anyway. And, you know, I love that story about your husband where, what was it, one of your biological children asked, can we get another, can we have another sibling? And he said, no, we're not doing it. And then then you did.
Yes. Oh yeah, he's a musician, singer, songwriter, and concert. He used to say, because we have 3 natural children, we call them natural and supernatural now. But he used to say, in concert, we have eeny, meeny, and miny, and we hope to have no mo. And that obviously went on to prove him wrong as well, because our 3 turned into 6 pretty quickly.
Now, Show Hope Ministry, founded by you and your husband, Stephen Curtis Chapman. What's Show Hope all about?
Show Hope is an organization that really, again, was birthed out of my heart when we adopted Johanna, the first of our 3. I just really felt compelled with Stephen's platform in particular that we could be a voice that would get this word out, that if I just didn't feel like anybody who felt like they couldn't afford the cost of adoption, which it can really be expensive, that shouldn't be an obstacle. So it initially started out of a heart to just want to help as many people financially as we could, just kind of help bridge the gap towards adoption. And then since then it has grown into all kinds of stuff, but it really essentially just encapsulates just wanting people who are adopting. We want to be there for them to kind of help complete the whole circle of adoption, and then post-care that kind of helps with some of the issues that come with adoption. We're getting youth involved. We're taking mission trips overseas so that kids can be exposed to the need. But it really just started out of a heart of us just really wanting people to be helped if they wanted to be.
Now, in working to promote adoption over the years, I know you've worked with the Tim Tebow Foundation and some other great organizations. Yes. That caught my eye. I'm a supporter of that foundation. So, real legitimate groups here getting together and strengthen numbers, and I know y'all do it for the right reasons. Yeah,
we first started, we were hoping that we could maybe, Stephen and I, way back 10 years ago, it's hard to believe that Show Hope's 10 years old, but we thought, man, if we could just help 100 people, that would be great. And in 2013, we've helped about 4,000 families And so we're just, we're just in awe of what God does, when people can come together. The Tebow Foundation's been great in that they want to help special needs children in particularly. So we identify some families that then they can help, and we partner together that way. Then that way we're able to, exponentially give even more grants. So it's just been amazing to see what's happened in the last 10 years.
Now, you've fought through some extreme tragedies in your life, and I know that your amazing faith has helped you along the way. Has some of the things that have happened actually made this ministry for you even stronger because of the fact that you really just have that focus and have that, not taking anything for granted thought
Sure.
process every day?
Sure. We lost, for people who don't know, we lost our youngest daughter, Maria, one of the ones adopted from China, in an accident in 2008. And certainly that shakes you to the core of your faith. We are a family of great faith and really kind of helping come together. Again, not that it's been easy. We've had some, really dark days, but really being able to focus. One of the things that came out of losing our daughter, Stephen's fan base is just so broad, and people just loving us didn't know what to do. So out of that came this part of the Show Hope, movement. Out of that came this Maria's Miracle Fund, and people helped open in her honor. They helped us complete and open a special care facility in China that helps, hundreds of orphans receive life-giving medical care so that then they can go on to the road to complete their adoptions. And now it's been 5 years since the accident. We're starting to see some of those children who, because of people loving us, those children have been nursed back to health, and now we're starting to see them come home because it's been 5 years. And obviously, anytime I think you can take a tragedy and try to focus on something good that comes from it, it doesn't take away the fact that I would give it all back to have, Maria with us because we miss her so much. But certainly in her honor and her name, it kind of helps us stay focused and helps us see that that we can put one step in front of the other, and we can do the next right thing, and it doesn't mean that the pain goes away, but it certainly validates our faith and our hope to know that not only are we going to see her again, but here on this earth we can also see good that comes from it.
Well, your family's just been extreme role models to so many, how you've been able to keep that strong faith through that, and we just commend you on that so much. Now, Michelle Bachman is a friend of the show. She's promoted adoption and foster care over the years, and I thought of her before we had you on. And, of course, Sarah Palin promotes life all the time, and it got me to thinking, sure. People don't think of adoption as a life issue, but, I really think it is part of the life movement because you're helping a child, even though they're often a lot older than when you're talking about a usual life issues.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, life is life, and that adoption just is an option to allow a child to become their full potential that God created them to be. And what a better way than to see families who have, they have their hearts wide open for these kids. And so when we get to see that happen, and we get to see some of the kids come out of the U.S. foster care system that really need homes, and that can be placed with families. Stephen and I get the bird's eye view. We just get this great seat to see some of these amazing unions that can happen.
How can people get involved in Show Hope and also find out more about maybe if they want to look into adoption?
Yeah, we have an entire website. It's showhope.org, www.showhope.org. It's easy to find. There's all kinds of resources on our website. If you're interested in adopting, we can point you in the right directions that way. If you want to get involved in Show Hope, there's all kinds of ways. And obviously, there's the fundraising arm of it, but we offer mission trips. We offer ways to volunteer in your local communities. We have a youth movement going on. We have all kinds of things that you guys can get involved in. So if you guys go to showhope.org, it'll give you all the information that you need, and that's how you can find us. Go to StephenCurtisChapman.com as well.
Well, that is wonderful. We wish you the best with this. And so it's true your husband and you both had the same name? You had the name Chapman before marrying?
It is. Sometimes I think maybe that we were both so stubborn that God had to give us like both the same name in order we'd be able to find each other. I don't know. It is. That's my maiden name. We're all Chapmans around here.
So when you took his name, when you took his name, did you have to go through all the paperwork, or did you just could you have skipped that?
You know what? I skipped it, but here's the crazy thing. Obviously, I thought, well, my name's the same, so I don't have to, do anything, right? Because my name's the same. But I think maybe I should have, because we got called to jury duty and we got called together. So I'm thinking that
right.
probably wouldn't have happened if it showed that we were actually married to each other. So we went to jury duty, and I'm like investigator down to the court, and I'm like, I want to be picked. And Steve's like, I've got things to do, and he gets chosen for jury duty, and I got excused. So it didn't quite work out very well. But I thought that, what? It's probably because I didn't ever go down and register all that. So anyways, that's just a kind of a funny side note.
Well, it did. It struck me because you certainly don't hear that too much. I have been running across a lot of people who have children born on the same birthday as the mom or dad, and I've talked to about 5 or 6 people over the last couple of years of that, and that's just amazed me. But this I thought was on that same note. But that is funny. And listen, you're doing great work, and we appreciate you so much being here. God bless you and your family, and stay in touch.
Thank you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Thanks. God bless. Bye-bye.
For more on Mary Beth and all she's doing, visit marybethchapman.com. The Palin Book Tour is charging across America. Good tidings and great joy, bringing smiles to the thousands that have already had the chance to meet Palin and get their book signed. The tour started fittingly in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, a perfect place because the Pennsylvania town is known as Christmas City. The Barnes & Noble where Palin signed was packed, and SaraNet Radio was there, covering every moment. Palin signed for almost 2 hours more than scheduled because of such high demand. Supporters of the governor were thrilled to meet her.
She is someone I look up to as, a young Republican. I think she's very inspirational.
She's just fantastic. She spent a lot of time talking with us, relative to what she has, but very interested, encouraging to my daughter about continuing in her activities, her sports and band and that sort of thing.
She was really outgoing. She talked to me a lot about and encouraged me to keep going in school and all my activities.
She's real. She's one of the few people in Washington I actually would want to elect to an office. I don't know. I really like her. She's captivating.
Fantastic. That she couldn't have done anything better than this, and it was such a pleasure to meet her and her husband. They're as wonderful as we thought they were.
She just is on the right side of things, and she speaks for me, and I think she speaks for the way the country should be going.
Not really knowing what to expect, but I left at my house around 6, I think, and I got here at 10:07, and I waited for an hour in the cold. And then tonight I showed up around 4 because that's what they suggested we get here, and then got to meet her around 6.
It was awesome. I've liked her since I was 14. I started a rally back in 2008, wanted to meet her then, so it was awesome to finally get that chance to meet her.
Can't believe I finally got to meet her, as I support her 100%. Palin 2016.
Those excited folks were Sarah Lukens, Ed Boxon, 14-year-old Jana Boxon, Heather McNally, Mary Lou Westrick, Mary Ann Giancamilli, and Sonia Durkitz. An exciting kickoff for the tour. Now, after Pennsylvania, Palin's tour continued in Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Georgia, and Florida. The Wisconsin stop particularly noteworthy. Not only did the Walmart where the signing was held run out of books, but the whole town ran out. People bought all the copies at the local Sam's Club and Barnes & Noble. And I want to thank Governor Palin for featuring my Breitbart piece on the Wisconsin visit. She tweeted it and posted it on Facebook. An incredible turnout in the Badger State. This week, the tour continues in Florida, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and Minnesota. For more details, you can visit our Facebook page, SaraNet Radio. This past week started with Veterans Day, and Sarah Palin sent a message saying if you love freedom, thank a vet every day, but especially Veterans Day. Take time to let vets know how much you appreciate their service, and if you see a good patriot who has served or is currently serving, be bold and introduce yourself and thank them for the freedoms you cherish. The governor spoke about Pope Francis this week, and after the media tried to twist her comments, imagine that, she clarified what she said. Palin said, quote, "It was not my intention to be critical of Pope Francis. I was reminding viewers that we need to do our own homework on news subjects, and I hadn't done mine yet on the Pope's recent comments, as reported by the media. knowing full well how often the media mischaracterizes a person's comments, especially a religious leader's. I don't trust them to get it right when it comes to reporting on the Vatican. I do, however, trust my many Catholic friends and family, including some excellent Catholic writers who have since assured me that Pope Francis is as sincere and faithful a shepherd of his church as his two predecessors whom I admired. I apologize for not being clearer in my response, thus opening the door to critical media that does what it does best in ginning up controversy, unquote. And while appearing on the Hannity TV program on Fox News Channel, Palin talked about New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and guns. She said Christie was, quote, flirting with disaster, unquote, when it comes to trying to win over constitutionalists regarding the Second Amendment. Palin said Republicans don't have to settle for any candidate or politicians who just go along to get along with an agenda that stifles the economy or strips us of our freedoms that are constitutionally protected. Palin wasn't done. She said it was unnecessary for Christie to so thoroughly embrace Obama after Hurricane Sandy, and she warned that she would question the commitment to free markets and freedom that has made America such an exceptional nation of any Republican candidate who would support these policies of Barack Obama when it comes to granting amnesty for illegal aliens, thwarting our Second Amendment rights, growing our national debt. For more on her comments, check out Tony Lee's article at Breitbart.com. And to see any of the governor's posts in their entirety, visit Sarah Palin's Facebook page and follow her on Twitter at Sarah Palin USA.
It's time for Commonwealth Common Sense with Susan Stimson and Kevin Scholla.
Susan Stimson, welcome back.
Thank you, Kevin. It's great to be here.
So, Susan, Obamacare, still problems with the website, the rollout that really hasn't happened, numbers that people aren't too sure about, minimal people signing up. What's your take on what's going on?
Well, family after family is being impacted by this disaster of President Obama promising that if you like your health plan and you like your doctor, you can keep it. And I can tell you, from my perspective, just as a personal example, my sister is 39 years old, has 3 young children. She's had melanoma, and she received her cancellation letter in the mail a few weeks ago and cannot get onto the website to sign up for health care. And I know that many people are being impacted by this disaster, and the president has a real problem on his hands, but unfortunately, the true issue is for the American people. And I was thinking about the election results both in Virginia and in New Jersey, and Ken Cuccinelli was closer than anyone thought in Virginia. Many of the establishment had written him off, as had the Democrats, but it was a small margin that he lost by. And if you look at the youth vote, the 18 to 24-year-olds, he actually won them. And I think that 2014 is going to be in play, seriously in play for Republicans, when you couple the issues with trust now with President Obama and what's happening to our entire economy, much less our health care. I think that 2014 is truly in play.
Well, it seems Cuccinelli closed the gap there, too, in Virginia to make it close, because he started hammering away at the end about how bad this Obamacare deal is.
And it would have been one thing if the country would have absorbed this little by little, but unfortunately for President Obama, it was noted quite quickly, because millions of people now are losing their health insurance.
Well, aren't these the warnings that conservatives and some in Congress were, talking about for years now already, and yet this was jammed through?
Without a doubt, without one Republican vote. And I think that if Republicans can play to win and not play to not lose, then 2014 can be in play. I believe 2014 can be in play in Virginia with Senator Mark Warner, who is on the ballot, and thanks to him, we have Obamacare. He was the 60th vote, and I think that every Democrat that voted for this destructive policy, many of them, it's obvious they didn't even read it before they voted for it. I think that they're vulnerable.
I found really interesting the other day, as Obama continues this apology tour, or pseudo-apology tour, he started to almost talk about that he underestimated some things with government that went wrong with government and the size of government. But, he dialed it back a little bit. It's almost as if he had an introspective moment there and started to point the finger at what the real problem is. But, of course, he could never blame government, because that's his whole ideology and his whole basis of his administration.
Well, they're usually pretty clever, and they are trying to frame this as if it is the insurance company's fault, but I don't think that the American people are buying it. And you can look at the poll numbers on the question regarding do you trust the president, and that's at an all-time low with him, because he said over and over again that if you like your health plan and you like your doctor, you can keep it. And not only is that not happening, but you have many people now who their health is severely impacted and threatened by this destructive governmental takeover that President Obama ushered in.
And remember, you always put that big period at the end of it, too.
Exactly.
All right,
exactly.
Susan Stimson, thanks so much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Susan Stimson in Virginia. More Commonwealth Common Sense next week. Now, our weekly commentary, Steel Resolve. In for Sarah Steelman, here's Bader Carmoot.
Thanks, Kevin. I would like to address the most recent court ruling in New Jersey, where an activist judge has legislated from the bench gay marriage in the state. I fear that this will eventually have an impact on the church, as it already has in England, where the church is being sued to force gay couples to marry in the church. It is only a matter of time before we see this type of brazen litigation in the United States to force all churches to marry gay couples, or risk losing tax exemption for discrimination. If a church, as many already do, wants to marry gay couples, I guess that's their prerogative, but we should not force other churches to do what they feel is against their faith. Some believe that the First Amendment and the separation of church and state will protect the church. But have we forgotten how the Obama administration and this failed Obamacare tried to force the church to provide services that it objects to? I cannot trust some of our elected officials to do what is right, nor can I trust the judiciary to defend our rights. The only way to make sure that the church is not forced to go against its faith is to limit wedding ceremonies to members of the church. In order to be a member of the church, each person must sign a statement of faith that includes the acceptance of the biblical definition of marriage. Some say that this is a solution looking for a problem, but waiting to have a problem first and change the rules later is not wise and will not legally work. It is important to show a court of law that this is not a last-minute change or a reaction to litigation, but rather a long-standing written policy that is known and agreed to by all the members. As I say in my blog post at saranet.net, a couple could attend and be married in a church that already allows gay ceremonies. Plenty of churches already marry gay couples, but we should not force other churches to go against their faith. As we try to deal with the ever-changing laws and their social implications, we must remember that it is not the person, but the behavior that we biblically object to. As Judeo-Christians, it is important to love the person, even when we do not biblically agree with their behavior. None of us are without sin, and all fall short, but biblical principles must be defended and preserved. Thanks again, Kevin. This is Bader Carmoot for SaraNet Radio.
Tune in again next week for another segment of Steel Resolve right here on the Palin Update. The Palin Update, including Commonwealth Common Sense and Steel Resolve, is on demand and available for download. So just head to saranetradio.net, pick the show you want to hear, and you can listen anywhere, anytime. Well, that'll just about do it for this edition of the Palin Update on SaraNet Radio. Visit saranetradio.net for continuing coverage of Governor Palin. Also, follow along on Twitter at SaraNet Radio, at Kevin Scholla, at Susan B. Stimson, and at Sarah_Steelman. For a full recap of everything you hear on the Palin Update, plus more news regarding Governor Palin, head to our Facebook page and like SaraNet Radio. Also like Kevin Scholla on Facebook. Palin Patriots is our feature on saranet.net. There you can check out the writings from our great panel of contributors, including Martha Zoller and Bader Carmoot. And I'm doing some writing for Breitbart News. Just go to Breitbart.com and search Kevin Scholla. I want to thank Sarah Steelman, Susan Stimson, and everyone here at SaraNet Radio. Thanks to Mary Beth Chapman. And thank you for listening today. Please be sure to join us again next time for another edition of the Palin Update. I'm Kevin Scholla. Have a pleasant day.